Hey guys, I have here the iPhone 15 Pro. I'm going to do a battery replacement on this device. This is going to be a full guide for the battery replacement on the new iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Before doing anything, two screws at the bottom of the device need to be removed. In order to access the battery on these new devices, you need to open the phone. And by opening the phone, you need to remove the screen in order to have access to the battery. So these new iPhones have removable back glass, but it is impossible to replace the battery by going through the back of these phones. I started to hit the front of the device with my hit gun at the highest setting on the hit gun. So after multiple rounds of hitting the screen, I was able to pull the screen slightly to let me insert a guitar pick between the screen and the frame of the device. Once I have a first guitar pick between the screen and the frame of the device, I can continue hitting the screen on the sides of the device and proceed in moving the guitar pick from one corner to the other and detach the screen from the body of the device. The biggest problem with the battery replacement on the newer iPhone, the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max, is going to be the removal process of the screen. Removing the screen can be a little bit difficult. If you're too hasty, you might damage the screen in the process of removing the screen. It is extremely important to take your time during the removal process of the screen, as the screen is really expensive compared to the battery. Currently, I'm still hitting the upper portion of the screen. The bottom portion of the screen is completely removed of the body of the device. I had my green scalpel there as a placeholder and avoid the screen to close on me. So I'm continuing to hit the upper portion of the screen and continue with the guitar pick. The side of the device where we have the action button is the side with the flex cables. So you need to be careful while you insert any tool on that area, not to damage any of the flex cables that are on that area. On the middle of the screen, there is the flex cable for the screen, and at the top of the screen, there is the flex cable for the ambient light sensor. Now that the screen has been completely detached from the body of the device, I can turn the phone off and start working in removing 6 screws that are holding the screen flex cable on the motherboard. This is the first retaining plate that you need to remove to do any work on an iPhone. All these screws are tri-tip, and not like the other previous iPhones, there is no marking of the processor on this one. You can see we have a lot of flex cables that are attached to the motherboard, but for the battery it is only one flex cable, and we need to remove that flex cable before we can remove the flex cable of the screen and the other flex cable that is attached to the top of the screen. You can disconnect the battery flex cable with a plastic tool only, but the other flex cables you can use a plastic tool or a metal tool to disconnect them. Using a metal tool to disconnect the battery cable might create a short and damage your device. Now we can work on the battery and remove the battery of this iPhone 15 Pro. At the top of the battery there is a pull tab. At the bottom of the battery there are 2 pull tabs. At the top of the battery there is just enough space in order to access the pull tab and pull on it. The pull tab at the top of the battery is very small, and most likely while pulling on it, it is going to break. As you just saw it, mine broke and I still have some left under the battery. At the bottom of the battery, there is no space in order to access the pull tabs. So you will need to remove the speaker and the Taptic engine, the vibrating motor, in order to access the pull tabs and pull them and remove the battery on your iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. This is the main speaker of this iPhone 15 Pro. 4 screws were removed to access the speaker. For the Taptic engine, there is only 2 screws that need to be removed. The third one is shared with the speaker. Before removing the Taptic engine, you need to disconnect it first, and after disconnecting the Taptic engine, you can simply pull it out of the inside of the device. After doing that, I can simply start pulling on the pull tabs one by one and lay them flat and start the removal process of the pull tabs. I use a tweezer to firmly grip on one of the pull tabs and I started to pull on it. Most of the time these things do not really work for me, but this time it went really well. Well, these things can really stretch. It has a lot of elasticity. So after the first pull tab has been completely removed from the battery, I'm starting to work on the second pull tab. I lay it flat first, and after that I will take my tweezer and have a firm grip on the pull tab and start to pull on it. So for this one, on my first try, I tried to pull on it and the pull tab broke. This is the second pull tab, almost the same size as the first one. And after that, I can simply lift the battery, and you can see we have the new battery for the iPhone 15 Pro. And also everything that I just did applies to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So from this point, there is two ways to do the battery replacement. The first way, which is going to take more time and more work, is going to be removing the board, the small board that is on top of the battery, and transfer it onto a new battery. The second way is to simply install a new battery inside your device, but you will lose the battery capacity on the setting. So for the first method, you will need to cut the positive and negative on the battery. After you have done that, you will need to spot weld that component onto a new battery. After it has been welded to a new battery, you can then protect the lid of the battery with a new plastic cover. After that, you simply need to reinstall the battery inside your device. If you reinstall the battery inside the device and you still have some issues with the battery health, you will need to buy either a programmer for the battery or buy a small flex cable that is going to reprogram the battery. Both methods are more involved, but the cheaper option is to buy the flex cable that is going to do all the work. That flex cable needs to be between the motherboard and the battery, and after you have restarted the device multiple times, you will simply need to disconnect that flex cable that is between the motherboard and the battery and reinstall the battery just like I did. After that, restart the phone and you should have 100% battery health. This method requires more work and it is more involved, but you can simply replace the battery on your iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max and it is going to work, but you will lose the battery health stat. On previous iPhones, if you lose battery health stat, it will not affect the device in any other way, so you can simply use the device like normal without any issues. Also, the method that requires more work and keep the 100% battery health capacity is going to be based on the previous iPhones and how we replace batteries on those devices. Since all these phones are almost the same in terms of repair, it might be the same for the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. Currently, I have reinstalled everything on this iPhone 15 Pro and I'm ready to close the device in sealing the screen of this phone. I advise that if you want a simple battery replacement on your iPhone 15 Pro Max and your iPhone 15 Pro, just get a new battery, open your device, remove the old battery and reinstall the new battery inside the device and close the screen of the phone. Getting a battery programmer is going to be costly. Getting the flex cable that is going to give you the 100% battery capacity is going to be cheaper, but it is an expense also. You will also need a machine to do the spot weld for the battery positive and negative. You can see Apple wants to support the right to repair movement, but you can see it is not a simple replace and reinstall and you're done. Subscribe to the channel if you found the video interesting and helpful, and I will see you next time.